Yes. Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Wildcard DFS show. Hope everyone's got their Johnny Manziel celebrations at the ready for what we're going to bring to you this week, heading into week number 11. Absolutely crazy. We're going to run down through some cash lineups for you and some tournament plays as well. We're going to start with our cash. So you're looking for a high ownership in this. You're only looking to beat half of the field. You want regular plays with a high floor. And remember, let's just keep it simple here. So we're going to pitch it off to Ali. Ali, you're going to start us off with some quarterbacks, right?
I am, yeah. And this is the most obvious pick of the week. It's Brock Purdy, Super Brock Purdy, 5,800 at home against the Buccaneers, who just got destroyed by CJ Stroud last week. Will Levis, he struggled this week, but I think being at the 49ers, it will be a completely different story. He just absolutely bounced back in style this week. He had his full complementary of wide receivers back. I think Deebo Samuel makes such a massive difference to that offense going forward. 3 passing touchdowns, nearly 300 passing yards. Quarterback 6 on the week, really impressive. He's quarterback 11 on the season. I just can't work out how he's that cheap in this slate, 5,800. I mean, he's over $2,500 cheaper than Josh Allen, he struggled against the Broncos. He's got the Jets this week. So I know who I'd rather have in my lineups than save $2,500. I think you can just put him down to throw 2 to 3 touchdowns as he does every single week, easily against a banged up Buccaneers secondary. I just can't see anything other than Brock Purdy having our pants down this week, me being a Buccaneers fan. And this is my super lock guarantee smash of the week. Didn't work out last week with Tony Pollard, but we're getting back on the horse, and Brock Purdy, he's guaranteed he's going to smash this week. Second one is Kyler Murray, $6,100 at the Houston Texans. Firstly, I just want to say thank you, Kyler, for kicking Arthur Smith's ass this week, which is always great. He came back, looked really good against a tough defense. The Falcons have shut down a lot of quarterbacks this season. In terms of the stat sheet, nothing really jumped out, but he didn't actually throw a touchdown pass, but the rushing usage was key for Kyler this week. 6 rushes for 33 yards and a rushing touchdown, which a lot of people had question marks on what the rushing would be after his injury, but it looked really good. Kyler's back fully and looked really great. And this is just such a beautiful matchup. Houston, in the last 2 games, has seen a combined 133 points in the 2 games that they've played recently. So the matchup is absolutely fantastic. I just think Kyler has such a safe floor this week in what should be another high scoring game. And just they're looking at the price at just over 6K. It just enables you to spend up for someone like a McCaffrey or someone and have such a safe floor with Kyler as your quarterback.
Yeah, I love that. 2 really solid options there. And not too expensive either. And you expect them to easily, I produce the price that they're given there. So I really like those 2 picks, Ali. And Kev, you got some running backs for us, right?
Yeah, anybody that listened to last night's Dynasty show will know that I've got an affinity to Jameer Gibbs, and he's my first pick at cash running back, someone that's really obvious, someone that's hit 25 plus points last 3 weeks. He's been a top 3 running back on all those occasions, and 7K this week against the Chicago Bears, who, it's very beatable opposition. It was really good to see him get goal line work this week, despite David Montgomery being in the lineup. And touchdowns in the last 3 games. There's loads to like. I think it's just really a simple play, someone that's going to come to people's minds. And 7K, it's very achievable in all formats. I think he's going to be super popular in cash. And then the second one, actually, I do think he's more obvious than Jameer Gibbs. He's just a little bit lower in the pricing. A little bit lower, a lot lower. He's a little guy. Devin Singletary, 5.3K. He's playing the Cardinals. You know that in cash, a lot of the time, it's anybody playing the Cardinals is going to be popular. What he did was mildly a shock this week, where he got 30 carries, 150 yards on the ground against the Bengals, and he looked great. He looks a lot better than Dameon Pierce in that offense, in that system. He's someone that at that price is going to be super popular, but in cash, you're not too fussed about that. You want him to be popular because if he hits, excellent, you're getting pulled along. If he misses, then half or most of the field are going to be in the same spot, so you've not actually lost too much because you're only trying to beat half the field, like we said. So I do anticipate that both of these guys will be in tournament lineups as well, because there's lots of ways to get a little bit different. I think at 5,300 though, Devin Singletary is almost a guaranteed lock in all lineups this week for that price and that game script, and also that with Kyler Quinn back, it's one of the highest over-runs of the week. It's going to be super popular. So yeah, Philly boots on Devin Singletary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs obviously just been a slam dunk the last couple of weeks in Singletary. I mean, all you have to do is look around at the other players that cost around the same amount. You'll think, I mean, it's just super obvious that we're going to go with Singletary here. So I love those two. And I've got two wide receivers for you. I mean, these are pretty chalky guys, but I mean, I can't help but we got it's the return of the Miami Dolphins to the DFS side of this. I mean, this is just what we've been waiting for, right? And Tyreek Hill is right at the top of that. He is pricey, because he is Tyreek Hill. He is 9,300, but coming off a bye week, I can't wait to see what Mike McDaniel has drawn up. And let's be honest, these Las Vegas Raiders, they need to come back to earth a little bit. They've been doing too well the last couple of weeks. They're still not the best team I've ever seen. I'm sure that the Dolphins, they are a bit of a flat track bully, but I think playing against the Raiders, that is still a flat track in my eyes. So I expect Tyreek Hill to absolutely smash this week. And the second one, Mr. Safe, Mr. Consistent, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We talked about that matchup earlier against Chicago Bears, one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL right now. Yeah, I expect the Lions to come out and do really well against the Bears, and Amon-Ra St. Brown to be a huge part of it, as he always is whenever the Lions win. So I've got those two for my wide receivers. And Ali, we're going to pitch right back to you now. You got some flex options for us, and tell me about the first guy in particular, because I love what I'm seeing.
I knew this would be a popular one with you, Mags. And I mean, typically wouldn't pick a tight end from a flex spot in cash lineups, but this guy's not really a tight end. He's a wide receiver, isn't he, Mags? Yes, and at 4,900, even the matchup against the New York Jets does not scare me off. Dalton Kincaid, and yeah, this guy is getting the volume. The last 4 weeks since his bye, it all changed. So targets were 8, 7, 11, and 6, which is great. Look at his yardage as well that he's putting up. He's not just catching the ball and falling over. 75 yards, 65 yards and a touchdown, 81 yards, 51 yards and a touchdown. So that is really great. At sub 5K is pretty incredible. Obviously, the Bills, they lost against the Broncos this week, and they are going to want to get back to winning ways. They are desperate. So this starts this week. Absolute desperation. He's taken that number 2 target role from Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis has sort of faded away a little bit. He's going to have his big games, but he also is going to have his blanks. Even with this tough matchup on paper, I just think there's going to be guaranteed targets for Dalton Kincaid. The Bills are absolutely desperate to show something on offensive. Fired their offensive coordinator this week, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays. But yeah, I'm just banking on another safe performance from Dalton Kincaid, the absolute stud. Secondly, Jerome Ford. So we are going for a running back. This is a really big AFC North meeting between the Browns and the Steelers. The fact is, yes, it is a timeshare between Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, but at $5,200, you got to look at Ford, and he is getting much more of the work and looking the better running back of the two. He's outsnapped Hunt, and he's seen more touches in 4 of the last 5 games. It's just unfortunate that Hunt has scored touchdowns in something like the last 5 games. He's scored a touchdown. But I personally, in cash, I'm going to bank on the volume. The Browns are actually running the ball the most in the NFL this season. So they average 34.9 rushing attempts per game. Deshaun Watson's not running that much. It's coming through Ford and Kareem Hunt. And they're averaging over 2.5 times more than the Ravens, and you know how much they like to rush. Ford has seen 37 rushes and 8 targets over the past 2 weeks, so that's the volume that we look for. And this week, he actually went over 100 yards at 6.29 yards per carry against the Ravens, which is only the second man to go over 100 yards against the Ravens this season. So he looked really good. And then entering this week, the matchup is much softer. So I do think it's going to be a bit of a grueling game in this division, but I just see plenty of rushing yards for both teams. And at 5,200, Jerome Ford is the guy that I want in this matchup.
Yeah, I love that. Two players there who definitely, they've got their teals up recently and they're hitting some really good form. So I think trying to keep that hot hand rolling whenever it started. Yeah, I love that in your flex position in particular, actually. So great picks there, Ali, and Kev. Will come to you for the tight ends. Who you got?
I mean, first of all, I can't believe Ali literally paraphrased something you would exactly say about Kincaid, about him being a wide receiver. It's just, It's like you two have got together for the show and planned that one. He wasn't getting a mention on my tight end picks, but I do think he's doing great, all jokes aside. Tight end wise, first pick I went for George Kittle. On a slate where there's no Kelsey, where there's no Andrews, I think it's an obvious pick at the top. 6.4k against the Bucks, which it's a beatable matchup, I think. It's going to be popular, especially some of the players we've mentioned that are super cheap. It's going to open up the door to go after these higher priced assets at wide receiver and tight end. But my alternate pick is the one that I'm really drawn to this week in cash. It's also something that I'm going to be targeting in GPPs. I just love this guy. I think he's on a tear. Trey McBride, 4,400. He's at the Texans. I mentioned before with Singletary, it's a high over-under. He's got that instant chemistry with Kyler Murray that we saw last week. And I think the writing was on the wall even before the Ertz injury, but he's the main man. He's looking fantastic. He was a great prospect coming out. I think he is a Dalton Kincaid, a Sam Laporte level type of guy in terms of talent. So, yeah, I'm very much in on Trey McBride. He's someone that I've really warmed to in all formats. He's someone that you can trust with the volume from a team that's very, very likely playing from behind against a Houston team that's on fire at the moment. So 4.4k, love that pick. I think I have picked him as a cash play just to give a bit of theory on the other side. Singletary and McBride were cash plays. I think you can combine them both in a GPP as well. You've got a bit of correlation with the Texans taking a lead and then the Cardinals coming from behind. So I think on his own, great as a cash play, but also keep him in mind for your GPPs.
Love it. Absolutely love it, Kevin. And then rounding up the cash plays, I've got some defenses and special teams. And the first one I've got seemed pretty cheap to me. Cleveland Browns going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have had trouble moving the ball up and down the field. And I think they're going to have a lot more trouble playing up against the Cleveland Browns. So they're up at 3,700. And then the second one I've got, not really because I love the defense. I've got the Washington Commanders. I don't love the defense, but I do love who they're playing. They're playing the New York Giants and Danny DeVito in particular. So they're $100 cheaper at 3,600 there that you can grab either of those for your cash plays. I suspect the Browns will be a pretty popular pick there at that price. People will probably try to snag up that Browns defense for sure. So that brings us to the end of our cash plays. And let's have a little look at some riskier options. We got the tournament, the GPP lineups. You want to pick people who are, a lower percentage of ownership. You want to make these unique lineups that nobody else has that gives you a chance to be number one and take home the grand prize. Something you could do in the Wildcard Moneymaker as well. I mean, I've won it, and Kev, you've won it, right? And yeah. Let's come to Ali, shall we, to talk about some quarterbacks for cash plays.
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Mags.
My pleasure.
We will we'll keep the hotness rolling with, Dak Prescott. Don't overthink it. 7,300 at the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are useless. They look a lock to have the number one pick, which is not going to be their pick. But the Cowboys absolutely slapped the Giants this weekend. And to be honest, Dak Prescott could have benched him at halftime and they'd have comfortably won the game. But he said, "Put me in, coach. I want to put misery on the Giants." So yeah, he's been the number one scoring quarterback the last 3 weeks, averaging 32.1 points per game, which is obviously exactly what you want for GPP, someone to take off. On paper, the Panthers aren't a team that has conceded a huge amount of points to the quarterback position. So when you look, they're going to be in red, which always does put some players off. But you just look at some of the recent matchups they've played. Tyson Bagent last week and Gardner Minshew the week before. So not very good quarterbacks. This is a whole new kettle of fish. I just easily see that the Carolina Panthers are going to turn the ball over a few times. the Cowboys are going to be put in good scoring opportunities, and they're going to score 30 plus points. So for me, don't overthink it. You want the guys like Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, who are absolutely hot right now in your lineups to really pole vault yourself to the top of the standing. So I don't see it slowing down. So Dak's the pick. Second one, CJ Stroud, again, someone that's absolutely red hot right now, $7,000 against Arizona Cardinals. And part of the allure of this matchup is just having Kyler Murray on the other side. I just think the game is far more competitive now than what it would have been under Clayton Tune or someone like that. The Texans are the 9th most pass-happy team in the NFL, and they're actually only second behind the Dolphins in terms of yards per game. CJ Stroud with 274. So CJ Stroud has been asked to throw a ton, and he's obliged. And 15 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's on such a hot streak. The last 2 weeks, 826 passing yards, which is fantastic. Even with or without Nico Collins in the lineup, there's so many good stacking opportunities you've got with Tank Dell, Noah Brown, who's been amazing, Dalton Schultz, who's been amazing. I just think it's such an affordable bring back options as well on the other side, whether it be Hollywood Brown, Trey McBride, who we mentioned. It's just one of the matchups that I'm targeting because I think this can be a fairly high scoring game.
Yeah, no arguments for me here. I mean, both these guys on, like you said, an absolute hot streak and look primed and ready to give you value for money there, even at 7,000 and 7,300. And Kev, you got some more value for money for us at running back?
Yeah, I mean, the first guy we're going to discuss here is I've not got like 100% faith in it, but I think in GPP you've got to fish a little bit in the weeds and make plays that you maybe don't feel 100% comfortable. You've got to be comfortable getting uncomfortable. That's the phrase, isn't it? About as comfortable as my phrasing then. But Aaron Jones is the first guy. 6,200 is playing against the Chargers. I think for this one, it's more about the matchup that playing the Chargers. 6.2 is a really good price for him. And I think there's going to be a lot of people on the next game we'll talk about, plus guys like Singletary. So this is a way to get different. I think we have seen this season that he had the blow-up game against the Bears where he had those 2 long touchdowns. And he's had injuries and he's not really got back to full form yet. So I just think it could be a time to pounce while people are off him. And it's just a way to get a little bit different, especially in your bigger fields. But my alternative pick's going to be super popular if he's fully back. We love this guy. Get the table sort of thing. It's Devon A-Chain, 6.6K. Las Vegas Raiders is the matchup. Again, something we really like. He was on a tear. His numbers are pretty much identical fantasy points per game to McCaffrey. He's averaging 10 to 12 yards carry as a rush, which, that's got to come down. But what he's done has been truly amazing. That explosion. He only needs, 10 carries to get 100 yards where you get the bonus points. So, even though he's not going to get all the workload, he's got such an enticing ceiling on any given week. And I think the matchup it leads to them getting ahead and then just doing what they want with the Raiders. So A-Chain is the more popular pick, but I think Aaron Jones is something to maybe lean into a little bit uncomfortably, and it should pay off. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, get the tables. Absolutely love it. And I've got some wide receivers for you. Ali, you're going to love this first one. Mike Evans at 7,400. He is going up against San Francisco, and I think a lot of people might go, "Oh, San Francisco, they have not been that great defending against wide receivers this season." I know they looked brilliant last week, but what did they lose? They lost three on the bounce, I think it was before that. They're not this unbeatable juggernaut that they are kind of being sold to be at the minute. And I think that might put people off picking Mike Evans here. But I do suspect that Tampa Bay will be playing from behind. And Baker Mayfield's not afraid to sling it down the field. And 9 times out of 10, Mike Evans is there. So I think he's a pretty good bet there at 7,400. The second one, I kind of went for the same vibe here. Kind of a player that people might go, not sure. It's Christian Kirk. He's quite cheap at only 6,000 going up against a Tennessee team that kind of hard to figure out what they are or what they're good at, but I'm pretty sure they're not good at defending the pass. So let's get Christian Kirk in there And like we said on the Dynasty show yesterday, Calvin Ridley's dead to me. So let's load up Kirk here, will we? And get him involved. And Ali, you've got some flex players for us now as well, right? Oh, I think one of them's been mentioned already on the show.
Just want to say I love your picks there, because Mike Evans played the Tennessee Titans last week, who Christian Kirk plays, and had the massive game. Christian Kirk played the San Francisco 49ers last week and had over 100 yards. So it's just beautiful. They're both going to go off. You're such a smart guy, Mags.
Or a week behind.
Coming to the flex picks, 4,800, only 4,800 is Noah Brown against the Arizona Cardinals. And personally, I didn't ever think in the rest of his career Noah Brown would ever be able to top his effort of 153 yards in week 9 against the Buccaneers. And Noah Brown, it's more like friggin' Noah's Ark. The performances came in 2 the following week.
Hey,
the following week, 172 yards in week 10 against the Bengals. Unbelievable, Jeff. It's an absolute miracle from the Bible. Let's keep this rolling at 4,800. It's an unbelievable price. And there's only 2 players that have scored more points than Noah Brown the last 2 games. We've mentioned them. CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen. He's been unbelievable. You've got Nico Collins, who was obviously missing last week. He's struggling with the calf injury. He didn't practice once last week, not even limited. So I have a hard time finding out that he's going to be back fully healthy this week. So I think even if he is back, he's going to be limited. So personally, I'm going to fire up Noah Brown with confidence in a matchup I've said that I really like. I like the stacking opportunities with one of my favourite quarterbacks, CJ Stroud. You've got obviously Tank Dell as well if you want the double stack, or Dalton Schultz. This is a matchup that I'm targeting, and I really like Noah Brown at that price. The second one, we talked about we're going to have to go risky. This is really risky pick, but enticing at 4,600 against the LA Chargers. It's Christian Watson. And yeah, I picked 2 absolute bust picks last week in Pollard and Bijan to kickstart their career. Obviously, Pollard flopped. Bijan did okay, but this is the guy that's going to smash, Christian Watson. And yeah, it's been a tale of a real sad love story, really, with his quarterback, Jordan Love. They've not been on the same page at all this year. He's actually had 3 or less receptions in every single one of his games so far this season. But I think if you're going to get a perfect matchup to put that right, you'd bring in the LA Chargers. There's been targets there for Watson, which has been unbelievable, really, how it's not worked. He led the team again this week in targets, but I think only just 2 receptions and something like 9 targets. It's becoming really weird, but I just think he's going to put it right eventually, and his price is dropping so low that at 4,600, I'm interested this week. They're giving up 291.2 passing yards per game, which is over 25 yards per game more than the second place team, which is the Buccaneers at 266. It's been a massive flop this year, but he's too good where he's going to have to come back and just show something. So I just think this is the week where he could be startable. People are still going to be so off him that nobody else is going to be playing him. So I think Christian Watson, 4,600, take a risk.
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, our last 3 picks, Christian, Noah, Christian. Wow, look at that. This segment segment of the Wildcard DFS show brought to you by the Bible. Moving on now to tight ends. Any tight ends in the Bible, Kev? I'm not sure.
I'm having a think. Gonna struggle, I think, with that. But yeah, anyway, we're going to move on. Michael Mayer is my first pick, 2.7k at Miami. I think it's going to be really hard if you're picking guys like Tyreek Hill, Devon A-Chain to be bringing it back with Devontae Adams. So I think people might go Jacoby Myers tight route, but I think Michael Mayer is firmly in play. 2.7k, such a good price. He got the touchdown last week. I would like to see a little bit more of a volume on that, but he got the touchdown. He's someone that hopefully his role will grow with Antonio Pierce in charge. And at that price, if he has a 4 or 5 point game, it's not gonna kill you. I think he's someone that you should be considering at that dirt low price. And then my alternative, I'm just swinging it back around to Trey McBride. I wasn't going to talk about him, but I'm going to talk about him twice. I just think everything I said in the cash aspect, I think he's someone that I'm firmly in on at 4.4k in GPP. I think there are ways to get different with however you want to stack it, however you want to combine that team. You could get the crazy and put Kyler as your tournament play if you think that it's going to be a big comeback win maybe for the Cardinals, which wouldn't shock with how unpredictable the season's been in 2023. I think Trey McBride is a guy that's growing. He's someone that looks like Apollo Creed, and I think he's a knockout this week.
Nice. Love it. And of course, coming full circle with the Noah's Ark, having 2 of every Trey McBride on the show as well. That's absolutely fantastic. And I've got some defenses and special teams here as well for the tournament play. Sorry, it's the Seahawks going to go up against the pretty hapless Rams at the minute here, looking and God, Carson Wentz, he might be coming. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So I'll take that Seahawks defense. Thank you very much. Going up against the Rams at 3,100. And the second one, bit of a cheaper option here. I like the Jets against the Bills. Josh Allen leading the NFL in interceptions right now. That could be enough just to get, just enough from that Jets team who are only 2,600. So you think Josh Allen throws a pick, you're already, laughing with the amount of points that you're going to get from that Jets defense, hopefully. And before we wrap up the show, we're going to hit you with our pick of the week. Ali, we're going to pitch it to you first.
Yeah, actually, I had 2 really favourite picks of this week, and they've both been said by my 2 co-hosts, so you're really intelligent guys. Christian Kirk was my first one at 6K against Tennessee Titans. I think he's going to smash. But I'm going to focus on Devon A-Chain, 6,600, the return of the breakout star against the Las Vegas Raiders. I just think with Raheem Mostert looking banged up and just not looking the explosive Raheem Mostert he was at the start of the season, perhaps he's showing his age. He's had a lot of workload to go through while Devon A-Chain's been on IR. Hopefully he returns this week. I just think at 6,600, we've seen the ceiling. Las Vegas are not the best team in the NFL. They can be run on. Miami Dolphins could put up 40 points this week. It would not surprise me. And Devon A-Chain could have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So at 6,600, that's got to be my pick of the week.
Yep, love it. Kev, who you got?
Yeah, I nearly picked one of my own because I'm a bit of a selfish dick, but I didn't nearly pick Trey McBride, if I'm honest, but I thought we've already got 3 wise men on the show, haven't we? So we'll leave him out. It's Brock Purdy. I just think 5.8k in cash, it's a smash. That price is pretty insane to me. Just range of outcomes is right up there with guys in that 6,000-7,000 range. So absolute smash for me. His home and road splits are interesting as well. Like at home, he's pretty much guaranteed 20 points. Like whatever happens, and the matchup, it's gonna push him north 20 points. So it maybe is like a discount to Jared Goff in that sense, where at home you know exactly what you're getting, and then when you get him on the road with his tiny little hands in the cold weather, he's gonna struggle to beat Philly in the playoffs again. Come on.
Absolutely. I'm going to go with a guy. I genuinely think DraftKings made a mistake here. I don't understand why. That after a massive week last week, Jaden Reed is still only $4,000. Like he was, I think, the highest scoring wide receiver on that team last week. He's going up against the Chargers. We know they're not. There is leak points left and right. So Jaden Reed at 4,000. I think that's an absolute bargain there that you're getting, and he's got a chance to smash just as much as any other receiver on that team. I think it's still up in the air who is the alpha there. So I'll take some Jaden Reed at 4,000 for sure. Guys, that brings us to the end of this fantastic show. We have had left and right, we've had Noah's Arks, we've had everything you could possibly imagine here. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Hopefully we've given you a hand to set your lineups for DFS this week. If you've not already, make sure you're following us over at the Fantasy Wildcard channel on X. You can find us at Fantasy Wildcard and Wildcard DFS over on YouTube as well. Make sure you're searching for the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Network to catch us on the Dynasty Show, on the DFS Show, and of course the amazing Paul, Hannah, and Lewis over on the Wildcard Rewind Show too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys